Soulful shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's some social shit for everyone, you know what I'm saying? Like, I made this be myself, so hear me. Woo! I mean, like, we can pull that clown shit away. This some real shit for you. I'm spazzing right now, so listen, let's go. Yeah. It's in their bones, the thoughts and harmony for the love of the money. Then fall victim for the cookie, then turn pussy, it's lonely. You said you hold it down when life get rough, we're here now, so show me. We move them losses to them wins. Heavy pounds, we make it ends meet. Converse of only few who make me feel like I be 10 feet.
What's going on, people, man? We're back in the building, man. You guys already know the ties and the vibes already. Apologies, I never dropped an episode, so this is technically episode 6, but we're kind of merging it /6/7. Obviously, with the transfer window and everything that was closing last week, now it's done. I think there's only a few leagues that might still be open. I know the Saudi league is, of course, still open. I think potentially Turkey and Greece, but we just have to wait for a few more, bits and bobs to kind of close off. So I said, you know what? This will be the perfect time to drop this video. So we'll take a look. There's been a couple of games that a few of the teams have obviously played in that time. So we'll just take a look at, some of the results. And then at the end, we will take a look at the league table heading into the international break. But most importantly, guys, make sure you do smash that like button. Make sure you do share and subscribe to the channel. Guys, we are en route to 2K. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. But without further ado, let's just kind of, dive into it. As I said before, of course, we've got the transfer window is now done. It's done for these leagues anyway. So that's La Liga, Serie A, Ligue 1. And the Bundesliga. So I said, you know what, I think now is kind of a fair time. Take a look at the teams, especially where they are now, especially in the league. They've had some 2, some 3 games as well. So we're getting a bit of a feel. We're getting a bit of a feel, of course, for the season. So let's dive into it, man. Now, of course, we start off with Barcelona. Now, they've had 3 games really since I last did this. Obviously I was supposed to have done one, of course, for last week, but didn't. And they had 2 fixtures kind of relatively close. So, just quickly run through the scores. So Barcelona did pretty well this season, I cannot lie. A 2-1 victory against Athletic Bilbao. Followed that up with another 2-1 victory. And then they won 7-0. Now, in all of these games that they've played recently, of course, we've had, the whole situation with Dani Olmo. I was going to speak on that, in the last week, but of course I didn't. But they had that whole situation with Dani Olmo, not being, registered, for the squad and stuff like that. That's now been sorted out. That's now done and dusted. So Dani Olmo is now officially a player. He's been able, he was always officially a player, but he's been able to actually play. They had issues in terms of registering him. We know that they picked up an injury in the midfield area. Once they picked up that injury, they were looking at other players. One of the players they was looking at was Liverpool's Stefan Bajcetic. They weren't able to get him, and he's obviously now gone on loan to another football club. So they've kind of gone with, what they've got here. The window's done now, so no more talk. Rafinha came out and he actually spoke, about, the whole, do Barcelona need transfers and stuff like that. But listen, he's actually one of the players, especially in the 7-0 win here. He's actually one of the players that, has really turned up for Hansi Flick, since he kind of joined, playing in this kind of new position now where he's almost playing as that hybrid number 10. Kind of thing. Of course, you got Lamine Yamal on that right-hand side. Of course, that's now his position as the right winger. But now you're seeing, Rafinha, who's taking up this kind of new role. Again, he's one of the elder players in the team. And, Barcelona got a relatively young team with a lot of young players, coming through. He's taken up the mantle so far this season. And as I said before, 7-0, 2-1, 2-1. Yes, they were a bit close in terms of the result. But all in all, I felt like over the 3 games, Barcelona were in majority, and especially in the 2 games that were relatively close, they were in control for majority of those games. Of course, the 7-0, it's 7-0. I don't care what anybody says. Even if you didn't watch it and someone showed you stats, it doesn't even matter because you won 7-0. So you can tell that clearly they had, absolute supreme dominance. Obviously, Dani Olmo's been able to get on the goal sheet, the goal sheet now as well. So score sheet, should I say? So yeah, it's like a good time. it's like a good time for Barcelona at this current moment in time, in terms of everything, if this is what Hansi Flick would have wanted. You start off the season well. Let's get all victories, if we possibly can, in all the games that we do play, and then we can kind of, move forward with that. Obviously, the transfer window, it's now done, so there's no need to talk about it. There's no need to, get into all the semantics and etc. Just lastly, on that kind of transfer news, obviously you had, Vitor Roque going, on loan to Real Betis. You had Lenglet as well going to Atletico Madrid, which was weird because he's gone there on loan, but they've extended his deal. And this is one of the things I was thinking about, was that, Barca, like, you lot are in too much, like, it's just too wishy-washy with you lot. It's just too wishy-washy. This is why you're in problems in the first place. This is why, so much is kind of going on, with you guys in terms of the transfer side. But as I said, listen, it's done and dusted now. I guess we can move, kind of thing. And, we can get back to just the football, and listen, man, Barcelona, of course, in the Champions League. And in the next episode, I will be going through all of the teams in terms of, for Europe and things like that. Taking a deeper look at that, especially because we are going to be on international break. So, just to kind of space it out. But yeah, listen, man, for Barcelona, been a good, 3 or 4 games that they've been able to, 4 games, should I say, altogether, that they've been able to play. And listen, right now they look like they're standing in good stead. If I'm being totally honest with you, I don't think there's too much complaints. As I said, you're getting really good performances from Lamine Yamal. He's obviously continuing his kind of good form from the back end of last season, which then went into the summer, winning the Euros, and then now he's continuing that. Rafinha seems, as I said, under Hansi Flick, he seems to be, fixing up, getting a really good role in the team. And I think most importantly, one of the things I said, I think in episode 1, of this, was I was speaking a lot about Hansi Flick, and obviously Barcelona, that's my team, man. So I know all about how the Barcelona way of life and football is, right? And I did have question marks. I won't lie. I did have question marks about Hansi Flick. It's only 4 games. I know it is. So I'm not going to sit here and try and lie and gas it up. Listen, you got to just win anyway, regardless. You're Barcelona manager, and Hansi Flick isn't a bum. Do you get what I'm trying to say? But I was sitting there, let me not say question, but I was definitely thinking, okay, is he going to be able to, play their kind of style of football, but also mesh with his own style of football? Because ultimately he is the manager now. So he's going to want to imprint his own kind of thing. And right now he's doing it really good, in terms of the way that they press, in terms of the areas that they try to press and what the wingers do. Wingers coming inside, so you've almost got this kind of narrow press. Yes, that does leave a bit of space, but then that's where they then, use the fullbacks pretty well. Listen, right now it's looking pretty decent, for Barcelona. But let's move on to the next team. So we've got here Bayern Munich. They've had a couple of games since we last spoke, guys. Beat Wolfsburg 3-2. Yeah, that game in itself, I remember watching that game actually, because had a little tickle on that. I remember watching that game and thinking to myself, like, yeah, it's just not really, I'm saying it's still early days, obviously, for these guys. So, they're still trying to find their feet, but they got the victory in the end. And obviously that is obviously, the key thing, in regards to that. Then they obviously played the next game and won 2-0. And again, I feel like this game was a bit more of a controlled game, if I'm being totally honest with you. This was more of a game where I thought to myself, okay, Bayern, listen, the opposition still had chances, but ultimately Bayern, with their quality that they've got, and they've got a very good team. So it's going to be interesting watching Bayern this season. Obviously, you guys will see the league table and stuff like that, at the end of this video. But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting with them, in the Bundesliga, obviously facing off, trying to get the title back from Bayern Leverkusen. And then you've also got the Champions League. They've obviously signed in Olise and a few other, Eric Kunda and a few other players as well, let go of players like De Ligt, Matsarawi. It's going to be interesting to see how Vincent Kompany is going to be able to kind of imprint his own philosophy into what they're trying to do. It's so funny because it's almost like I felt like Vincent Kompany should have gone to like maybe a Barca, and then Hansi Flick should have gone to Bayern Munich. But whether they would have really whether someone like Barca would have taken Vincent Kompany, I don't know. I don't know. But just in terms of the style of football, because I feel like Vincent Kompany's style of football more marries with Barcelona. But listen, ultimately both teams are still doing good at the beginning of the season, and also I think we spoke about it on the last episode. Bayern are obviously through to the next round of the Pokal as well. So yeah, all in all, I think it's pretty good for them. Pretty good for them. Nothing really on the news front, if I'm being totally honest with you. I think it's just more Thomas Muller breaking more records in terms of appearances and goals and stuff like that. So yeah, nothing too crazy, nothing too mad. But listen, man, Bayern doing their thing, man. Bayern doing their thing. So now we move on to Lyon. So Lyon have had a tough start. I promise you this. They've had a tough start. And when I say tough start, not because of the teams they faced, because I still think the teams that they faced, they definitely should have more points than they've got currently. Obviously, they lost 2-0 here to Monaco. They finally then won their first game of the season against Strasbourg, which they scraped through, 4-3. Listen, as I said, man, I'll keep it a buck when it comes to Lyon. Like, again, it was one of the things that I was thinking about, prior to this video was so far, it just looks like it's a little bit, obviously, like towards the back end of last season, I felt like Lyon, they were riding a good wave. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, and I thought maybe, especially, last season they had a few financial constraints and stuff like that. So I thought, okay, now that those, restraints have been taken off, okay, now let's push forward, let's go. They just have not started the season well. I don't know if it's just because of they've gotten in quite a lot of players. Obviously, they've just recently signed, Louis Zaha, Wilfred Zaha. Yeah, they've obviously got him in. So yeah, maybe he might be able to help them in some way, shape, or form. They obviously Tanner Testament as well. And they got various few other players in their team throughout the summer. But I just feel like okay, I'll say this much. I don't want any Lyon fans to get angry with me. I just think that right now, at this current moment in time, it's just not clicking. Now, I'm not saying it won't click. And listen, like I said, we got the international break. It's good to get that victory. You didn't want to go into the international break without a victory because it just morale, players who are still around in that 2-week break, just the energy's all low. You wanted to kind of go into it with that victory. And now that they've been able to do so, who knows? You come back after international break, maybe just the energy around the place just will then start to change, and I feel like if that then starts to happen, maybe Lyon can start to kick on from here, because right now, as I said, it's just looking all over the gaff with Lyon. Honestly, it just is. And when things are all over the gaff, you usually think that'll be like how Barcelona, it's all over the gaff behind the scenes, right? But on the pitch, at least it's still going well. Here it's somewhat okay behind the scenes, but on the pitch, it's not really going well. So yeah, but I think the signing of someone like, Wilfred Zaha, I think is going to be a very interesting one. Obviously, coming from, I think it was Galatasaray, I want to say. Yeah, I thought he was going to go back to Crystal Palace, to be fair. I didn't think he would actually go to Lyon. But listen, he's joined Lyon, which is obviously a big club for someone like him. He's also played for Manchester United, of course, Crystal Palace and that. So to then play for Galatasaray and then now Lyon, let's see what you can do in this league, because we've seen obviously Mason Greenwood over there at Marseille kind of thing, and he's been absolutely, lighting it up in that league. So he's probably going to want to come in and have that kind of similar level of effect, in terms of, how he does and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's a decent signing, depending on which Zaha you're going to get, and obviously depending on how he takes to things. But listen, another new country for someone like Zaha. Listen, man, let's kind of see, really and truly, what you're all about, to be honest with you. But let's see. Last but not least, we have got Juventus. Obviously, they've had a couple of games since we last spoke. We'll start for this one, actually, which was 3-0. Comfortable victory. Very, very comfortable victory for them. And then, obviously, moving on to the game against Roma, where they drew 0-0. Now, obviously, everyone's spoken about Thiago Motta, of course, because, he's made a lot of changes, in terms of the playing staff there at Juventus, right? And by the way, in regards to like this game, listen, there was chances for both teams, just no one could really break the deadlock. So I felt like it was a relatively even game. Obviously, Juventus signing Koop Miners finally after this kind of drawn out saga with Atalanta. They got him in. He obviously came on in the second half of this game. But in a general sense, I think obviously, look, they let go of Chiesa, one of their better players, I would say. But listen, Thiago Motta, if he's not a part of the project, and that's kind of the theme of, the Italian teams right now. Obviously, you see what's going on with Osimhen and Napoli and Antonio Conte. But when you're looking at, Juventus and Thiago Motta coming in, I have liked the kind of football that they have played. I didn't really like it during preseason, but I don't know if that was just preseason and he's still trying to, implement his kind of, philosophy and stuff like that. But from what we've seen, in the opening games of the Serie A season, I feel like they've done all right. Honestly, I feel like they've done all right. Obviously, listen, look, you don't want to draw games anyway, and it's Roma. Roma are a decent team as well. So, yeah, and to be fair, they did have chances to score. Both teams did, actually. Both teams had chances to kind of win the game. But listen, it kind of is what it is. But there's been a lot of upheaval, transfers in and out kind of thing for Juventus. So again, this international break, I think it's coming at a good time for a lot of teams. I think it's generally coming at a good time. I feel like even if you are winning, obviously, if you're winning games, you want to carry on playing, right? Of course, you don't really want to go off to international break. But if you're kind of like got a new manager, things are, a bit, not all over the gaff, but maybe just, all right, we just need to settle down now that you have that international break. Now the manager can really, especially those players who he weren't able to necessarily work with for a sustained period of time because they might have been away on international duty, Copa America, the Euros. So now you can now enter into this kind of, okay, we've got 2 weeks or whatever it is. Now let's get, or just a bit less potentially. Now we can kind of get into the nitty gritty with some of these other players who still need to get up to speed with what I want to do. And then we can attack, the rest of the league. But yeah, that's kind of it in regards to that. Obviously, I think Juventus, I think they've got potentially another outgoing, but Fabrizio has mentioned it, but I don't know if it's confirmed yet. So I won't speak on that, but I'll speak on that next week. So obviously we got here the Ligue 1 table. Lyon, as I said, they're down in 14th, -4 goal difference, 3 points on the board. And that's only because they won their last game against Strasbourg, lost the other 2 games. Not a great place to be after your first 3 games of the season, but listen, man, we move. Barcelona, absolutely flying high, +10, 4 games, 12 points, 4 points ahead of the chasing pack. And yes, that includes both Madrid clubs. So, which is fantastic. I absolutely love seeing that. 4 points ahead. Gain a lead. Listen, all I'm saying is gain a lead. And it's so mad because usually you wouldn't get like a 4-point lead like this over your rivals, like so early. But listen, it's only 4 games into the season. But listen, to have the kind of room for about 2 games where the other team has to win 2 games in a row, give or take, and you'd have to potentially lose 2 games in a row. That gives you a bit more room. Do you get what I'm saying? Because you're going to have that hiccup potentially coming up somewhere. So just keep on winning, keep on doing your thing, and then just take it from there. That's the way that I see it anyway. In regards to Serie A, obviously Juve level on points with Inter Milan, Torino up there is on Udinese. Very, very interesting choice of teams who are up there, to be honest with you. Probably not the teams that you expected to see up there, but guess what? Listen, early part of the season, some teams have got favorable games and stuff like that. And some teams just, you shock the shock factor at the beginning of a season. So listen, Juve, as long as they're joint top, if they want to call it that, I mean, they're level on points with Inter, so I would say that's joint top. So yeah, right now they're doing their thing again. Of course, like I said, getting that draw against Roma just kind of potentially set them back. But now you've got the Coop Miners in, the Kefran Turams, Douglas Luiz, all these kind of players now. He's got his team. He's got his team now, man. So let's see what he does, moving forward. And then Bayern, obviously Bayern, look at that, hiding him, joint top with Bayern and Leipzig. So again, interesting teams that we're seeing. And they got +6 goals. Obviously, yes, as I say, it's the beginning of the season. Only 2 games in the Bundesliga, but listen, it's fantastic for them. They know they go into the international break top of the league, which is really, really good, and big up to them as well. But for Bayern Munich, listen, like I say, Vincent Kompany, you are under pressure, being at Bayern Munich. So there is going to be a level of, hey, let's see what you can really do kind of thing. You're now at a big, massive club, so yeah, we kind of just take it from there. But we'll wait and see. As I said, next episode, I will be talking more about the Champions League, Europa League, all of those groups for all of these teams, taking a deeper look at it, what I think their chances will be in the Champions League and stuff like that. So make sure you guys, of course, stay tuned for that, and we'll catch you on the other side. Peace.